Hi YouTube, welcome back to another trying to fix video. Here I have another Joycon that I got in. I took a brief look at it already. It seems to power on. Here, I'll show you what's going on. Power's on, because whenever I slide it in here, connects, shows up as red. But I had a guy in the previous video, he commented that you can overwrite the firmware in these things, so that way you can change the color, and I took a look at it, and that's true. I was able to flash the firmware on those purple Joy-Cons to make it show up as purple. I think it was showing up as red before, but anyway. So this one pairs, it works. All the buttons seem to do as they should, but problem is, take it out, try to use it wireless. Doesn't want to connect. So that's what we're going to take a look at. So I'm going to go ahead and break it open and get it under the microscope. Actually, before we move over to the microscope cam, I open it up and it looks like there's a little antenna here. So I'm assuming that's for wireless communications via Bluetooth. So if this part's bad, then that'd be an easy fix, should be our issue. So I went ahead and pulled another antenna out of another Joy-Con, and we'll go ahead and pop this in and see if it makes a difference. I'm not going to bother disconnecting the battery. I mean, this looks like an antenna. No reason why it shouldn't do wireless stuff. So let's pop it in and see what happens. And if nothing happens, if nothing changes, then we'll go ahead and go over to the microscope. Alright, it's in nice and tight. I'm not going to bother closing it up the whole way again. Must be dead. Yeah, it's dead. Well, we're gonna have to be quick about this, because if it's just coming up from a fully dead charge, we won't have much time. That's not wanting to go at all. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave this sit a minute. Okay, it's charged up a little bit. So let's see if this makes any difference. New antenna. I say no, just because nothing's simple. Yep. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to dig into this a little bit further. Alright, yeah. Let's hop over to the microscope now. Okay, here we got the microscope, and here's the board. I don't know anything about these, so we're just kind of gonna scan around and see if I can see anything that looks obvious. Maybe some water damage, maybe bad fuse. Although I don't really know what I'm looking for. So, I'm seeing something here. On the last Joy-Con I was working on, I saw this little mark right in the center of the flex connector here. And I thought that might have been the issue why the other Joy-Con I was working on wasn't connecting. But this one seems to have that same little mark. So I'm wondering, since this one has it too, and it's connecting, the flex cable goes in, it's connecting up, it's working just as it should, it's just not working wirelessly. Since this has the same thing, that should not be the issue. on the other Joy-Con, so that's good to know. Well, I'm seeing something. I don't think this chip here is supposed to be cracked. Yeah, that's definitely a crack. Thought it might have just been a little line or something. No, that's a definite crack. I don't want to play with it too much in case some pads come up. Let's see, NFC BEA. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up, see if that's... Hopefully this will be the wireless chip. This will be our guy. If so, that's about as obvious as you could hope for. Problem, cracked chip, yeah. I mean, other than water damage, corrosion, it's about as obvious as you're gonna get. Yeah, so let me look this up, see what I can find. So I've been looking it up, and the documentation on this seems very limited. This is actually the only page I was able to find that references anything about this chip. It's switchbrew.org, and just by looking around, it seems like they document a lot of the hardware dealing with the Nintendo Switch, which is definitely nice, so hopefully come in handy later. But I found a little something about the chip that we were looking at. So the chip, the first 6 characters, NFC BEA, that's exactly what our chip says, but the numbers after it, the 812, everything after, that's not what our chip says, but I'm pretty sure this is the same one. Oftentimes I see the numbers after the main set, so your first set and then the numbers afterward. Oftentimes they might be a little bit different per Joy-Con or per unit. It might change just depending on things. I don't know, but I'd be willing to say that this is definitely the chip, and it's saying likely NFC reader IC, which, I mean, that's wireless, but I mean, you have the function to scan the amiibos and stuff, so I'm thinking, would that affect the wireless communication to the Switch? I don't know. Well, might as well just replace it, see what happens. Okay, let's swap back over to the microscope. Okay, so I went ahead and disassembled the Joy-Con that I'm going to use as the donor board to get this chip off of. I'm just going to swap the chips between a working chip and this one, obviously not working. And the board that I'm going to be using as the donor is the one that you saw in the other video that I couldn't get working, and that I suspected was that flex cable connector. So I'm not gonna worry about that one. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull the component off of it. So we'll go ahead and get some flux down. Get the hot air on it. I've adjusted my microscope view a little bit so that way what you're seeing is almost what I'm seeing through my microscope lenses. Still not accurate, 100%. My view is more zoomed out. But it'll work. I think I figured out what the issue is now. I think it has to do with my eyepieces. They're providing more magnification than the Barlow lens on the microscope cameras. Or wait, no, the lens you're seeing through the camera is a reduction lens. Yeah, that's right. And it's not negating the magnification that my eyepieces are seeing entirely. I think I would have to get like a 0.25 or something reduction lens. Right now I'm working off of a 0.5, so that's why the focus is different between the eyepieces and the Microscope camera. I think. Could be wrong. I don't know anything about this, you know, I'm just going in trying my best. Oh, here it comes. Okay, that came off clean. And speaking of having a bad view, your view is all blurry. My mat kind of rose up from the heat, so it pushed the view out. Alright, so let's take a closer look at this chip that I just pulled off. Yeah, it looks like it might just break right off if I give it a little poke. No? Seems to be holding. Get a little bit of force on it. Well, it's definitely loose. I mean, it's not supposed to be like that. Let's see if any solder balls are on the opposite side of this, of the fracture here. So the fracture's there on the left side. And yeah, that would definitely affect at least this bottom left solder ball. I mean, it doesn't really matter if it affects the solder balls. The chip's cracked. It's affecting internal components, I'm assuming. So it needs to be replaced. Okay. So that looks nice. Did a good job there. But I'm gonna go ahead and reflow these. Put down some new solder. Some leaded solder. It has a lower melting point, and I think it just flows a little bit easier, so it'll be easier putting the chip on. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these pads. Get a desoldering braid. Take off all the solder on all these pads. Being careful not to push too hard. Don't want to rip the pads up. I'm not going to get them spotless clean, just because I don't want to scrape them too much. These are very easily rip the pads off of these. If you break one, well, the whole chip's done. Your view's all gone again. Okay, there we go. Lined up. Try to keep it right there, but it keeps moving on me. Your reference is different than mine. So this is not near enough clean. But I'm gonna call it good and lay down some of my own solder. First I'm gonna get some more flux. want to try to make sure none of these are bridged before you put the chip on. Okay. I think that's alright. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up. Put some isopropyl alcohol on there and get the flux off. I see a few pads I've missed. And again, I'm trying not to put too much force on this, just in case. You can never be too careful with these things. Okay. Well, I can see I didn't apply any solder to this pad here. This one and a few more could use a little bit more, but I'm not going to worry about it because whenever we bring over the chip from the other board, this one, donor board, it'll carry some solder points with it on the chip, so it should be able to make a solid connection. I just gotta keep the orientation of it right. I want to put it on wrong. Try to make sure your view gets the entirety of the chip. There we go. Okay. Trying to push the flux so that way it completely encases the perimeter of the chip. My mat's rising up again because of the heat, and it's going to cause your view to get all out of focus. Let's see if I can keep it down. If I can push on it here, and I'll keep the mat down. There we go. Alrighty, there we go. I gotta make sure I keep the orientation of this. Yeah, right like that. It's real easy for these things to just ping off. Then you gotta go find it, and then it's not gonna be in the right orientation. So now we have it down. We can see how it's supposed to go. Now I'm just going to turn it over, see how the pads look. A little flip. Yeah, that's good. That's nice. Okay. So now, just move this right there. Lay down some flux. really had an issue with my heat gun making the pads, or making my work mat rise up. I don't know why that's a thing today, but oh well. I have to deal with it. Okay, so I'm gonna get this lined up as best as I can, but it's not gonna matter because once the solder melts, that'll make once the solder melts on the board and on the bottom of the chip, it'll make it kind of bounce into place. You'll see it whenever it happens. Make sure the board stays down and the pads or the mat doesn't rise. I'm gonna put enough heat down so that way it hopefully doesn't fly off. And then as things become more liquid, I'll get closer, so that way more heat will be applied. Move it a bit so you can get a better view. There we go. Awesome. You see it just kind of bounce into place, move on its own. Although I don't think it aligned itself correctly. Make sure it's heated up as best as it can be. Yeah, there we go. There it moved into place. Yeah, that's 100% what you want. Awesome. Okay, so now I'm gonna let it cool down a bit. I have lost quite a few projects, quite a few boards by not waiting for it to cool down and then testing it. Fried a lot of components. A few of them were entire CPUs. So wait until it's cooled. That's crucial. Alright, so I'll be back in a few minutes. I figured I might as well just record myself putting the board back into the case so that way you can see exactly what I'm doing. I have all the buttons and components laid down. I'm not going to bother connecting everything up, just enough so we can test whether wireless functionality works now. Oh, this is a pain. Hold on. Okay, so I think I'll, should I put in anything other than the battery and the antenna? So let's see. This is the IR sensor thingy. This is this little black mounting bracket thing. I'm not even sure what it is. I think it might provide light to the home button here. Most people don't know, but the little ring around the home button here, it's actually an LED, and it can light up blue. But Nintendo never makes use of it, so you never see it, which is a shame. So I think I'm just going to connect up the antenna and battery. I think that'll be enough. Okay. Oh wait, we need the rail, don't we? Well, it's already paired to the switch, so shouldn't we just be able to tap the home button a few times or something to get it to pair up? Maybe not. Okay, let's put in a rail. Don't think I need to have this second flex cable in because it's only for the lights on the side of the rail and the buttons, but we'll get some feedback from the lights, so I guess that's good enough. Uh-oh. Well, you're not syncing up. I'm gonna play with this a little bit. I'll be back whenever it syncs up. I've spent quite some time now trying to get it to pair up to the Switch, and I've got bad news. I think I've killed it. I thought I put the chip on fine, but it's just not powering up at all anymore. And I'm pretty sure, it pretty much has to be me putting this chip on. I must have put it on wrong in some way or another because it was powering on fine before, but since I did this chip swap, now it's not going anymore. So I think I'm gonna put this aside for now, call it somewhat done. Maybe I'll do a revisit sometime down the line. I'll put a note on it saying what happened, use this video as reference. But it's not all for loss. We learned that this is probably the culprit. This little chip is probably what handles wireless communication with the Joycon and the Switch, because this is the only thing I could find was wrong. We don't have to test it. We can't test it because it's, I messed it up somehow, so now it's not turning on, but I am pretty sure that if I had put this on wrong, or correctly, that we would have a working Joycon working wired and wirelessly. We'll have to test that for sure someday whenever I get this 100% back up and running, but for now, I think I'm going to call it done, for today at least. So, I think that's it. Kind of a sad end, but, like I said, not all for lost. Always learn something from playing around with these things. It's neat. It's really interesting. Well, thanks for coming along with me for this journey. Thanks for watching. Bye.